The fifth toxicity. The fifth toxicity is probably the one that affects every person in this room and every person in this city and state and country and probably on this entire planet. And that is the emotional psychological toxicity. Emotional psychological toxicity is the toxicity that we really have to have a greater appreciation for, because sometimes we don't realize how much can affect our brain just by what has been said to us when we were a child or even when we were an adult. So sometimes people say, you know what, that doesn't bother me. It probably bothers people. And we don't even realize how much it bothers somebody. That emotional, psychological component can have such a significant effect that it can actually cause disease. It can actually induce the disease process. It can induce cancer. How can emotional, psychological issues affect a person to get cancer? Do you know that the most significant issue when you're dealing with cancer is the emotional, psychological issue? Of everything, is the most important thing. Heart disease. How can emotional, psychological issues cause heart disease? You know, half the people that end up having the angiograms done, they don't find any blockage. Yet when they did the scan, they saw something that was constricted, but when they go in with the scope, they don't see anything. Why? Because it caused that vasospasm and the vessel goes, because they got so angry or they got so upset about something. It caused a vasospasm and that'll cause a heart attack. So there's a very significant component of how emotional psychological toxicity can affect your health. So let's use an example of something that is tangible with the emotional psychological component. When somebody, has anybody in this room ever been really angry at anybody? Okay. And how many of you, is there anybody over here that hasn't talked to a loved one for more than 5 years because they got in a fight and they haven't talked to them because of whatever this feud was? Is there anybody in this room? I don't want to single anybody out, but I just want to use this as an example. Now, come on, I know there's somebody in here that has had, okay, there's one person, there's two people. 2 years, okay, 2 years. So we've got, for instance, Jane Garcia, my nurse practitioner. You know, I won't talk to her. She's been working with me for 5 years now. I won't talk to her, and I refuse to talk to her. So I have a... Oh, she's not Jane Garcia. Ooh. I forgot, that's right. See, I haven't talked to her, so I wouldn't know what her name is anymore. Now, Jane, how significant would you say the emotional psychological issue is in cancer? It is the most significant as far as I'm concerned. So, let's talk about, we have two people over here that haven't talked for more than a couple of years to somebody that is a loved one, but they haven't talked to them. And I'm not going to ask you what they did or what you did or whatever, but is it something that you really, it must affect you quite deeply that you don't talk to them, right? Is that a fair assessment, that whatever wrong they did, it must be pretty significant for you not to talk to them? Correct?
The situation's a little different. No cause you put your finger on.
But you don't talk to them?
Basically, that's it.
Right. And for whatever reason, you feel that they've done something wrong? Because if you didn't feel like they did anything wrong, then you'd be talking to them, right?
No, not like that.
Then why in God's name aren't you talking to them? Go pick up the phone and go call them right now.
Thank you, I'll do it.
Good. Excellent. So see how effective our treatment is? Now, okay, let me explain this. That's actually a good point, that somebody, when you can't even know, you don't even remember anymore what the reason was, or you're not sure what it was. This is a very important point. Pick up the phone and call that person, because there's an emotional impact it's having either on you or them or both of you, most likely in both of you. But let's say you know. Yeah, let's say you know what the cause is. Let's say that you have somebody, let's say your brother. You have a brother? Okay, let's say your brother, you are absolutely livid with your brother because he had to go to a ball game and was in such a hurry, he ran over your cat and it was your favorite cat, and you will never forgive him till the day you die because he ran over your cat. He hates cats. Okay, he ran over the cat intentionally. He hates it. In fact, that's even worse because he did it intentionally. Okay? Now, it's years. It's gone years. And there's this thing inside you that you're angry. And it festers. And it grows. And it takes on a shape of its own. And it becomes this big bulk inside your chest. And this is your brother, so you want to be with the person. You want to talk to him. You want to be able to call him and call him whatever names that you should call him, in the, of course, in affection. But you're just angry because he killed your cat intentionally. Now, do you think that's going to have an effect on you from a chronic disease standpoint? Absolutely it will. So what should you do to get rid of that? And why